Something unimaginable happened behind the strict military walls. Jungkook cried and knelt before Jimin. Yes, you read that right. The BTS Golden Magne, long known for his composure and calm, finally broke down in front of his hyun. But what exactly made Jungkook shed tears that night? And why was it Jimin, of all people, who became the axis of this emotional moment? Amid the busy military routines, limited communication, and public pressure, the moment between these two BTS members became the center of attention. This leak first came from an anonymous source claiming to be a military staff member at a joint training site rarely known to the public. According to the source, the meeting between Jimin and Jungkook did not happen during an ordinary reunion, but as part of an internal military activity that brought together several celebrities from different divisions. And that's where everything changed. According to the testimony, during a session of personal letter reading, an emotional ritual aimed at strengthening soldiers' mental resilience, Jimin, without warning, opened a letter he had written more than 2 years ago. The letter contained an honest confession about his worries, loneliness, and guilt toward the BTS members, especially Jungkook. "I feel like I failed to protect you all when the world began to press too hard," Jimin said in a voice barely audible, as quoted from an internal recording that is not supposed to be widely circulated. Jungkook, sitting not far from Jimin, initially lowered his head without reacting. But when Jimin read one line that said, "If I could turn back time, I would hug you when you cried silently backstage in 2019, the atmosphere in the room immediately shifted. Unable to hold back his emotions, Jungkook reportedly stood, slowly walked toward Jimin, then knelt and hugged him tightly. He cried. Was this a moment of reconciliation? Or a sign of the deepest crack within BTS that has been hidden all this time? This event quickly spread within HYB's internal circles. Not long after, fans began to find signs that this moment had been planned to be part of a documentary secretly being produced by the label. One leak from a production email mentioned that the emotional reunion scene between the two members is the climax point that will shift the public's perspective on the group's internal dynamics. This isn't the first time emotional bonds between BTS members have been highlighted, but never before has the raw expression of guilt and brotherly love been shown so clearly. Jimin is known as a sensitive and empathetic figure within the group, while Jungkook has always carried the burden of being the younger brother, expected to stay strong. This emotional outburst revealed a long-hidden side. They're not just idols, but humans deeply dependent on each other in ways that are profound and sometimes painful. The ARMY's reaction was split. On one hand, many felt relieved that there was finally transparency from the members' emotional side. But others were hurt seeing their idol break down emotionally. One of the most viral comments on the Weverse community read, "We know you're tired, but don't make us feel like you're leaving for good." Another wrote, "I wasn't ready to see Jungkook cry because of Jimin. It feels like the world we've trusted is changing shape." Some also began connecting the incident to Jimin's previous statement in a pre-enlistment interview, where he said, "After the military, not everything will be the same." Is this moment part of a transition to a new form of BTS? Or just an emotional explosion that will never be brought up again? It didn't stop there. Speculation continued to grow. A few days after the news spread, BTS's official Twitter account uploaded a photo of Jimin with a short caption, "To those who stayed with us, thank you." No further explanation was given, but fans quickly linked it to the emotional military moment. Even more surprising, Jungkook, who rarely posts anything during his service, appeared on Weverse with a handwritten post. Sometimes, saying sorry is harder than crying. This is no longer just a story between two BTS members. It's about buried trauma, unresolved guilt, and the acknowledgement that brotherly love doesn't always show up as laughter and warm hugs on stage. A source from within HYB stated that the meeting between Jimin and Jungkook was part of a healing process for all members now spread across various military divisions. They are to be reunited for a documentary project that reveals the most personal side of their lives as humans, not just as idols. We want the world to see them as they truly are: strong, vulnerable, and still together, even though not perfect. But now a big question arises in ARMY's minds. Is this a sign that relationships among the members are changing? Or are they becoming stronger in a more mature and human way? In the K-pop world filled with perfect narratives, moments like this are rare flashes of honesty. Jungkook crying and kneeling before Jimin is not just about guilt or regret, but a form of acknowledgement that without honest emotional bonds, BTS can never truly be the same again. For now, we can only wait. But one thing can no longer be denied. Behind the silence of military nights, something big and emotional is being woven. And when the time comes, not only ARMY will cry, the whole world will realize that BTS's story isn't over. It's just beginning. From a hug beneath the twilight sky and tears that fell without a sound, reflection, skepticism, and the urgency of critical thinking in the age of digital sensationalism after the emotional and turbulent discussion revealing a shocking moment between BTS members Jimin and Jungkook. It is now time to place this narrative in a broader and deeper context. What is really happening behind this now viral story? Did Jungkook, the golden magne, truly cry and kneel before Jimin in an emotional military session? Or is this merely part of a media strategy deliberately crafted to generate empathy waves and raise public expectations ahead of the next BTS project? In this era of fast-paced, distraction-filled information, the most important question we must ask is, what do we truly know? And equally important, what do we actually believe? It's undeniable that social media has become a fertile ground for emotional narratives. Snippets of information from TikTok, Twitter, and forums like Weverse and Reddit often form a complete story that seems very real, even though the sources may not be accountable. In this case, much of the information we previously presented comes from anonymous claims, vague posts, and fragments of images and videos collectively interpreted by the fan community. So, does this mean the moment where Jungkook knelt before Jimin actually happened? Or is it a narrative construct formed from ARMY's collective longing for emotional closeness among the now separated members due to military duty? It's important to emphasize that as of now, there's been no official confirmation from HYB or from mainstream South Korean media regarding the alleged incident. All the information circulates through social media accounts, including alleged internal HYB emails, unnamed military staff quotes, and fan theories based on emoji similarities, photo color tones, and posting times deemed too synchronized to be coincidences. But are aesthetic similarities in social media posts enough to be considered evidence of secret communication between members? Are the uses of symbols like crescents, trees, and stars intentional acts of communication? Or are they overinterpretations by an audience hungry for emotional connection with their idols? These questions are important to ask because we are not talking about fiction. We are talking about real individuals with personal lives, professional obligations, and rights to their own privacy. When narratives like this spread widely without strong foundations, isn't there a risk that we're consuming illusions built on collective emotional needs rather than factual truths? Let's take another example. The claim that Jimin's personal letter contained a confession of guilt toward Jungkook. This information comes from an anonymous source claiming to be military staff. There are no photos, videos, or even audio recordings to verify this statement. So we must ask, are we witnessing reality? Or are we being served a narrative script written by the fandom community? Critical thinking does not mean being cynical. Rather, critical thinking is the highest form of love toward what we admire, because only through rational and logical thought can we keep the narrative about BTS within a healthy, fair, and humane framework. Therefore, let's reflect on a few deep questions. Do we, as fans, have a tendency to create emotional narratives based on our own psychological needs, especially in the absence of our idols during military service? Does a phenomenon like Jungkook crying and kneeling reflect a complex, emotional reality? Or is it the product of collective anxiety and unspoken hope, Are we truly prepared to accept if all of this turns out to be a fabrication or a marketing strategy wrapped in a brotherhood and emotional narrative? And if the rumor documentary project does air these moments, how likely is it that the scenes were orchestrated or edited to create a specific dramatic effect? It's important to realize that the entertainment industry, especially K-pop, has a very sophisticated and structured promotional system. Emotional elements are often used as the main instrument to deepen fan engagement. Are we really witnessing the sincere expression of two friends, or are we witnessing emotional performativity precisely designed to shape public opinion ahead of a TV project launch? We also need to consider that too quickly believing all circulating information without verification